Okay, now we were recovering or recover a VM at target site. So server 2 is currently, as we can see, it is, let's go back from the very beginning. As you can see, um, I have two site pairs, one with the DR and which is VCSA, which is a vCenter in production, right? It's replicating a VM to VCSA2, which is DR, and also VCSA, my production, it's replicating another, sorry, has pairing with offshore vCenter, and it also has one outgoing. And outgoing, this one is server 2, right? Which is getting synced. So if I go to offshore site vSphere, which I believe is this, yep, as you can see, no VM here because currently VM is running from production site, right? If I want to recover this VM at offshore site, what I need to do? So again, go to site recovery here, and this is I'm at the offshore site, PCSA3, as you can see, and it's incoming, right? So I select the VM, excuse me, and now if I say recover, it will tell me that the VM is powered on, but let me uh, just show you that. Look, synchronize, these are the recovery options. Synchronize recent changes, so it will perform sync with the latest data from the source, right? This is possible, of course, if the source virtual machine is accessible, means you are doing a planned failover. Your production site is not down, you just want to fail over. So, so before failover, it can do a final sync with the production site to ensure that you get all the data. Use latest available data. This is the case, like whatever is there, just bring it up. Think about a scenario where you have an outage. It's not a planned failover. Your production site is fried. My production site destroyed, and now I want to bring this VM up in offshore site or in DR site, whatever. And as my production site is no longer available, I can't sync Delta, right? So second option is for this scenario. Okay, I will go for the recent changes because my production site is still intact. When I say next, and it says, see, source VM is currently powered on. Cannot recover a replicate VM with the most recent changes as might conflict with the source VM. So make sure the source virtual machine is powered off or select the recover the virtual machine with use latest data available. So keep this in mind. If you want to synchronize the recent changes, the source VM needs to be powered off, or otherwise you use this option. Okay, so I want everything. So I will go to over here and power off server 2. As a matter of fact, I will do the graceful shutdown. And once it's shut down, we will try again. Yep, it's shut down. So let's go back and select this option. Keep this in mind when the VM will come back after power on, it will have no network card or no network connectivity. So you need to connect it to the right network. If I want, I can say power on the VM after recovery, which I think it's a good thing. I want that. And then I can just attach the NIC, or I can do it manually. Let's do it, you know, with this wizard. So next, yep, specify the folder for this, either over here or discovered virtual machine. I'm fine under offshore, and I'm fine with ESXi3. And as I mentioned, it's giving you this warning that the network device of the recovered virtual machine will be disconnected. This is to avoid conflict or any sort of a thing. So then you can connect VM to any appropriate network. Okay. So let's say finish and see what happens. So when we click finish, as you can see, it start recovering VM. So what it will do, it will basically do the one last final delta sync and then power on this VM. And once this VM is powered on, as you can see, it says recovered, right? What are other options? Remove, right? So once this is powered on, now would I be able to see this inside um, my vSphere cluster in other view? Of course. So if I go to the to vSphere, here it is, server 2. And if I go to server 2, edit settings, as it was told, network card is not connected. So let's connect. Because I don't have a problem. I know it won't be any conflict. I'm doing plant fail over. So while it's there, or I think I know the password of server 2. So if firewall is off, I should be able to ping 192.168.1.127 minus T. Oh, let's just check the IP address. So server 2 is up here. Oh, sorry, this is. Let's see what's an IP address. Of course, you can make ping exceptions. I just want to make sure it is the right thingy. 217. What am I pinging? What I was pinging? Oh, I was pinging 127. See? Silly mistakes. So I'm pinging now from my domain controller. 2168.1.217 minus T. Here we go, yeah. Network is up and running. So, and maybe Not there, not here, sorry. Maybe I don't have to disable firewall because that was, I think, for public network, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, uh, I can turn it on for public network and see. Okay, so it's basically a public network profile. So that's one. Anyway, the firewall was not a problem. The problem was I was pinging to a wrong IP address. So this is to show you that firewall is not a problem. Okay. So as you can see, VM2 is recovered at, or server 2 is recovered at DR. This is server 2. You see, I'm inside the VM and I'm able to server 2, as you can see, and I'm able to ping this from my domain controller as well. All good. It's recovered in my offshore site and running and handy dandy. So that's how you recover VM or virtual machine in target site. Okay. If I go to original site, which is source site, right? Site recovery, and select this and refresh. Let's just refresh this. You see, I can see it's recovered. So now, what if I remove it? It's already removed, right? It's already recovered. And the same information I see it over here that it is recovered. Unfortunately, VMware vSphere replication, it's not two-way automatically. Like if I want to fail back server to production site, right? I need to configure a replication again, and this time offshore site will be the source site and production site will be the target site. I can't just, click and switch the flow, all right? This is that type of functionality is available with some other applications, but not with the vSphere application. I have to manually configure it. So that configure it, sync it, right? And then do the delta and fail back. It's not just a click and it goes fail. It's recovered there. It's not like that. What if I go to vSphere here and server 2? Yep, I have a server 2 shutting down. Of course, if I turn it up, turn it on, it will be conflict. But think about a scenario because server 2 is running there now, so my users will be connecting to this server 2, which is in offshore because it has the same IP and all that, same DNS pointer, same application server. So they will be working on this server. So there will be some recent data changes. So if I turn it off or somehow try to power it on that one, that won't be a good idea, wasn't it? Because of course this is the main VM. So what I'm trying to tell you is this, in case if you are thinking that I say test document, right? Suppose this is the change. So blah 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 blah. Okay, so save. Okay, right, rightio. So if I go back there in source site or in production site, can I power on this VM or VMware will not allow me, as it would say that this VM is already recovered in offshore site, so it can't be powered on. What do you think? Let's try. So if I here and say power it on, it's not gonna stop me, right? So if I go here, so somebody might say, why we have to fail back? Why don't, let's say, but source site is come back, why not we just power that VM back on and continue? What about data changes, my friend? Because once you fail over VM to DR site or offshore site, right? Once your user connect to that VM, they will start working on it. Means there will be some changes, some recent changes. If it's a database, there will be database changes. If it's a mail server, there will be new mails in the mailbox database, right? If it's a financial system, there will be new transactional information. This server, suppose if you recover it, suppose if the production side gets recovered after 10 hours and you power on this one, right? It means you're losing the data, and let's say a user were working on that system which is recovered server 2, as server 2 was recovered in DR site or offshore site, and users were working on it since last 10 hours. You're losing that data because this VM, which was powered off in source side, doesn't have that 10 hours of changes. Okay, so keep this in mind. So it's not just automatic stuff that things are getting synced. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. So remember the file I have created, and this one doesn't have that file, right? And so this server 2 and this server 2, it's there. Of course, there will be an IP conflict between those two. Those two, and if they're on the same network, there will be a network conflict, name conflict as well. So keep this in mind. I hope I'm making sense. So let's power it off this VM because we have already recovered this VM in production site. And in case if you're wondering, this VM is still connected to a network, right? So both are connected to a network. So let me just shut it down. So, okay. The idea behind this to turn on this VM and to show you that the syncs are not automatic. As soon as you recover VM in DR site or in target site, that's it. It's done. VM is recovered. Sync job is done. It won't automatically switch direction and start syncing now from target to source. Okay. So now VM is on server 2. Oh, sorry, server 2 is in target site. So what if I say here remove? This will permanently stop the replication of selected virtual machines. And this operation requires the host and VR server used by replication to be accessible. If there is a problem, right, with the host or replication server, you can force stop replication. Well, in our case, production site is still up and running. So We'll go for gracefully and let's see what happens. And it's completed. So it means if I go to over here in my offshore site, as you can see, server 2 is still server 2 is still running. Sorry about the slowness. Uh, yep, server 2 is still running. And where is it running? It's running in offshore site, right? And if I go to production site and refresh, will I see server 2? Well, you need to understand, based on what I told you, would I see server 2? Yes, you would see server 2 because the relationship is broken, right? However, if we go to site recovery, would I see that in a relation? What do you think? Based on what my explanation, would I be able to see it? No. Now it's zero. Why? Because I cleaned up, right? I removed that. So now server 2 belongs to what? Offshore site. It will be running from there. If I want server 2 back with recent data changes and I want it to run it again on production site, I need to create a replication job from offshore site to production site. Offshore site will be the source site and production site will become target site. Okay? Can't emphasize this enough, and I hope you understand, and I'm sure you will understand. You're more smart than me, and my job is to try to make it as easy as possible. Um, Another reason to make this video that when I did my vSphere application video in my vSphere video series, I think there was some problem in that video. There were some audio or video problem and the video, half of the video got blacked out. And in this case, I thought let's do another video, this time with a newer version of vSphere. Not exactly brand new, recent is version 7. I'm doing it with 6.7, but concept is exactly the same. So, okay, guys, I hope it all makes sense, and thank you so much, and I will see you in next video of this series. Take it easy, and yes, please do subscribe.